Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you're new here, consider subscribing. It really helps keep these stories coming. And while you're here, let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Now, sit back, relax, and let's get into the story. You don't run a bar in the dead zone unless you've already lost everything worth saving. The place used to be called the Clarion Hotel off Jefferson Avenue, right across from where the Renaissance Center once stood like a crown jewel of Detroit. That skyline's a ghost now. Glass torn out by storms, concrete slumped, the bones of progress chewed clean by nature and time. My bar's in what used to be the hotel basement lounge. Most of the ceiling collapsed after the first winter, and the main stairwells choked with rebar and caved-in plaster. I leave it like that. One way in, one way out. That's the only kind of security that still matters in this world. We call it the Copper Still. It's not pretty, but the old liquor shelf survived. The name's a nod to the busted still I keep behind the bar, an antique for show, not use. The real hooch comes from a guy out in Pontiac who trades in plastic jugs and wants nothing to do with people. I like that about him. It's been 2 years since the fall. 2 years since the networks went down, the convoys stopped, and the last National Guard outpost packed up and left the perimeter to rot. Nobody really knows what caused the initial outbreak. People say lab leak, or tainted floodwaters after the Lake Erie spill, or some mutation that leapt from the abandoned biofacilities near Ann Arbor. Doesn't matter. What matters is the infection spread fast and didn't burn out. The infected don't run anymore. Most of the ones left are slow, starving, but they don't need food, they just keep moving. And there's still enough of them that if you sleep too deep without a lookout, you don't wake up at all. But, like I said, it's not the infected that keep me up. It's the living. The Copper still has 2 rules. You trade or you leave, and you don't sleep inside. First one's simple. Currency doesn't mean anything anymore. The dollar died faster than the government did. Now it's ammo, meds, fuel, or clean water. You want a drink? I want a box of 9mm or 2 sealed cans of beans or a half pouch of iodine tablets. If you're lucky, you've got a story worth something too. The second rule is for safety. I don't trust anyone enough to let them sleep under the same roof. They can pitch tents in the old valet lot or rig their trucks out front. But inside, it's only open during trade hours, dusk to midnight. After that, the doors lock from the inside, and I sit behind the bar with my M1 carbine across my lap, same way I have every night since the last of the hotel staff fled. You'd be surprised how many people still need a place to tell their story. Mercs, runners, black market couriers, former police, ex-soldiers, even a few people who say they were with FEMA. They come in rough around the edges, scarred and silent. But after a few warm pours and the right kind of silence, they start to talk. And when they talk, the truth comes out. Not the truth about the outbreak, the truth about what people do when the lights go out and no one's coming to help. Tonight, the bar smells like mildew, fire smoke, and something metallic that clings to the roof of your mouth. We got lanterns hanging low, casting orange halos over the concrete walls. There's 6 people inside, not counting me. Closest to the bar is Lewis, a former Union foreman turned scavenger. He wears an orange high-vis vest like it's armor, and he's always got that bolt cutter across his back. His latest trade, a stack of copper wiring from the gutted service tunnels beneath Greektown Casino. Copper's good, useful for distillers, electricians, or anyone jury-rigging off-grid power. In the corner are the twins, Kara and Kellen, no last name. Rumor is they used to run contraband across the river from Windsor before the bridge collapsed. They trade in intel now, safe routes, which gangs control what blocks, and who's been spotted moving weapons through the Belle Isle ruins. They talk low and fast, always watching the door. Then there's Bishop. He doesn't talk much. Probably ex-military, his vest is worn black cordura, U.S. flag patch faded gray, a Sig P 320 tucked under one arm, and a boot knife strapped to the other. He pays in morphine vials and never drinks more than a single finger of rye. When he showed up 6 weeks ago, he didn't ask for a room or a bed, just asked what I knew about a convoy that went missing near 8 Mile. I told him the truth. If they crossed into the burned-out zone east of Van Dyke, they weren't coming back. He nodded once, like he expected it. He's been around ever since. Last is a newcomer, skinny, wind-burned, maybe early 30s, with a battered satchel over one shoulder and hiking boots that have seen way too many miles. She says her name's Callie. Has the look of someone who used to work in a lab but hasn't slept inside walls in weeks. She traded a thumb drive, solar encrypted, for a bottle of Old Crow and a ration pack. Says it has data from the old CDC site in Atlanta. Real data. That's the kind of thing you don't say out loud in places like this. But she did, and now everyone's watching her. I keep my mouth shut, pour her the drink, slide the ration pack across the bar, let the tension thicken. Then, like a match to gasoline, she starts talking. Not loud, just enough that Lewis leans in and the twins go quiet. Bishop doesn't move, but I see the twitch in his jaw. He's listening too. Callie says the CDC didn't fall, not all of it. Some of them retreated underground. Old government bunkers, off-grid labs near Stone Mountain, abandoned NORAD tunnels converted decades ago. She claims she was part of a data recovery team sent by a coalition of rogue states, survivor zones. Places that still have radio towers and drone relays, and people who believe there's a way to reverse it. According to her, the virus isn't just a random mutation. It was spliced, intentionally. Parts of rabies, parts of chronic wasting disease, something else she won't name. Engineered for transmission, for resilience, for adaptability. She doesn't say who made it, only that they found the genome's original signature, stamped with a defunct U.S. defense contractor's encryption key. The air goes dead quiet. Then Kara speaks first. So, you're saying the government made it? Callie just stares at her. I'm saying someone wanted to see what happened when civilization broke. And then they watched. The twin mutters something under her breath. Lewis swears and pours himself another drink. And Bishop? He just leans forward and says, "Did you copy the key?" Callie looks at him, long and hard. "No, I memorized it." That's when I realize how dangerous she is. Not because she's armed, but because of what she knows, and in the dead zone, knowledge gets you killed faster than noise. The bar holds its breath. Callie leans back on the stool, like she's just dropped a spark into a room soaked in fumes and is waiting to see who lights the next match. I catch the twitch in Bishop's fingers, the faint flex near his holster. He doesn't draw, but I know that if she'd said she had a backup copy of that key somewhere in her bag, he might have shot her on the spot. Not out of malice, out of protocol. That key, whatever it is, doesn't belong in circulation if it links the outbreak to something man-made, to someone accountable. I slide the bottle off the bar and stash it behind me. No need to offer more drinks tonight. Conversations like this need clear heads, or at least enough sobriety to keep the twitchy ones from doing something irreversible. Outside, the wind shifts. I hear it whistle through the exposed ventilation shaft that used to connect the basement to the upper floors. The building groans, metal on concrete. Loose brick somewhere up top crumbles down through the debris chute and lands in the silence like a punctuation mark. Callie doesn't flinch. She knows exactly what she's doing. Information like hers doesn't travel far unless it's been protected. Guided, concealed, segmented. She didn't wander into Detroit on accident. She brought something here. The fact that she picked my bar in this burned-out corner of Jefferson means she either knew who might be listening or didn't care if she died trying to deliver it. Lewis finally breaks the silence, muttering something about needing to piss and wandering out to the side exit. I watch him go, then shift my gaze to the twins, who suddenly find an excuse to speak quietly to one another, their heads close, hands moving beneath the table in patterns that aren't nervous. They're calculated. Bishop stays still, unmoving, but his eyes stay on Callie like a scope's crosshairs. The air around him is dense with unspoken judgment. That's the problem with trained men. They don't react fast, they calculate. And when they move, they do it with finality. Callie finishes her drink in a single motion. No wince, no comment, just sets the glass down on the bar and rests her hands atop the satchel. I don't ask what else is in it. If I ask, I'm involved. But that choice is already behind me. Just by letting her speak, I'm complicit. That's the thing about post-collapse America. It's not about taking sides. It's about staying alive long enough to regret not choosing sooner. Back when the outbreak started, those first hot weeks of confusion and barricades, I ran a real bar. Same basement, different name. We had working fridges, real glassware, a jukebox, even a dartboard on the south wall before it got scorched by a Molotov. I used to stock local rye, serve onion rings out of a battered fryer, and count tips in the back room under buzzing fluorescent lights. It feels like remembering someone else's life. That place died long before the infected stormed the hotel. It died the moment the National Guard checkpoint on Grand Boulevard fell, and the water trucks stopped rolling in from the west. After that, there was no point in pretending this city was still part of a nation. The border became Jefferson Avenue. South of it was death. North of it was commerce. And in between was my bar, a crack in the foundation where desperate people could pretend they were still human for a few hours. But pretending only lasts so long, especially when someone walks in carrying secrets from what's left of the world beyond. Callie doesn't say anything more that night. Not after her declaration about the CDC and the genome key. She knows better. She knows that sometimes silence is the only weapon stronger than knowledge. She shoulders her bag and disappears through the door into the night. And just like that, the room exhales. Bishop watches her go, then finishes his drink. No questions. Just a nod to me and a glance toward the twins. They're already gone. Slipped out the rear exit with that same eerie synchronicity that makes me wonder if they're actually related or just trained together long enough to move like a unit. I wait a few minutes, then lock the door and kill the lanterns one by one. The room goes dark except for the battery-powered red glow from the emergency exit sign. Faded, cracked, but still lit. That's the thing about old infrastructure, it survives. More than people do. I set the M1 carbine on my lap and settle behind the bar, back against the bricks, listening to the wind moan through the upper floors. The city doesn't sleep, it breathes. Metal grinds, water seeps. Somewhere out there, a scream cuts across the skyline. Human or not, it doesn't matter. The difference blurred a long time ago. I don't sleep, I never do, not anymore. And tonight, I keep one eye on the exit, because tomorrow someone will come looking for her. They show up the next night just after sundown. Not in a truck, not on foot, but on a battered dual-sport motorcycle with a cracked windshield and homemade gas tanks welded to the frame. The rider wears body armor stitched with so many brands and logos it looks like a NASCAR suit scavenged from 100 dead men. He walks with a limp, left leg stiff, right hand missing. In its place is a modified prosthetic made from a torque wrench and a pair of socket joints. The kind of thing built by someone with time, tools, and no regard for elegance. Function over form. Like everything else these days. He doesn't say his name, just drops 2 sealed water packs and a vacuum-sealed bag of freeze-dried rice on the bar, then sits down with a grunt. "You pourin' tonight?" he asks. I nod and fill him a glass. The hand clicks as he lifts it, the wrench arm flexing with a hiss of hydraulic resistance. He drinks with his eyes half closed like a man who hasn't tasted anything in days. When he finishes, he sets the glass down and pulls a damp envelope from his jacket. "For her," he says. "The one with the satchel. She leave anything?" I shake my head. He taps the envelope against the bar, then slides it across to me. It's hand-labeled, scrawled in waterproof ink. "If she doesn't return, burn this." "If she does come back?" I ask. He smiles, but it's not kind. "Then God help us all." He leaves before I can ask more. The bike sputters to life in the alley and disappears into the night with a coughing growl. I don't open the envelope. I don't need to. Whatever's inside, it's not meant for me. But just having it under my roof makes me feel like I'm sheltering a live wire. One flick of static, and the whole city could burn. I wedge it between the pages of the old inventory ledger I keep beneath the bar, a relic from when tracking supply actually meant something. Back when we still counted bottles and tallied orders. Now the only thing worth counting is who comes in and who doesn't come back. And for 2 days after that courier rode off into the smoke, Callie doesn't come back. But others do. On the 3rd night, the door creaks open as a pair of shadows move inside. 2 unfamiliar figures, both clearly armed, both walking with the loose, alert gait of people who've trained to kill fast and without hesitation. They aren't from around here. That much is obvious from the moment they step through the door. The way their eyes move, scanning corners, sight lines, ceiling, exits. Not scavengers, not smugglers, professionals. The taller one wears a half-armored duster, old military surplus layered over reinforced plates, sappy ceramic judging by the size and profile. The woman beside him has a scoped carbine slung low, barrel-capped and strapped tight, and her gloves are stitched with conductive tips. Custom stuff, pre-outbreak tech. They don't order drinks, they don't barter, they just walk to the bar and wait. "I run a clean place," I say, not bothering to hide the carbine resting under the shelf. The tall one leans in, voice low and even. "We're looking for a woman. Thin, brown jacket, hiking boots. Carried a canvas satchel, came through here 3 nights ago." I don't answer. The woman produces a photo, real paper, not digital. A grainy still, probably from a surveillance drone. It's Callie, no doubt. Same bag, same exhausted look, same fire behind her eyes. The man places a sealed ration bar on the bar top. "That's just for looking. More if you talk." I slide the bar back across the counter. "I'm not for sale." His smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Everyone's for sale, just depends on the price." "Then you're in the wrong city," I tell him. "Try New Chicago, they like your type over there." The woman looks like she's ready to draw, but he stops her with a subtle motion, barely more than a twitch of his fingers. "We'll be back," he says. I nod once. "I'll still be here." They leave without another word, and that's what bothers me most. They didn't threaten me, didn't push, didn't posture. That kind of restraint means confidence, the confidence of people who know they'll get what they came for eventually. I wait 10 minutes, then go to the back wall where I keep the lockbox. Inside, along with my ammo reserve and the last bottle of real Kentucky bourbon, I tuck the envelope from Callie. If they come back, and they will, I don't want it within arm's reach. Some things are worth dying for. This envelope isn't one of them. That night, Bishop returns. He doesn't say anything for a long time. Just drinks his single pour and listens as Lewis rambles on about a new breach in the Eastern Corridor. Some fool gang out of South Field who tried to retake the Silver Dome and got overrun. Apparently, the infected there aren't decaying as fast as the rest. Something about the cold in the lower levels. Bishop doesn't react until I mention the 2 new visitors. Then he quietly sets his glass down and pulls out a map. It's an old USGS survey map, overlaid with symbols I don't recognize. Circles, triangles, jagged slashes marked in black and red. Some of them are clustered around known infrastructure. Radio towers, water treatment plants, defunct substations. Others are deep in no man's land where no sane person's gone since the first winter. He taps one of the symbols near Belle Isle. This is where they came from. You said she had a thumb drive? I nod. He traces a line west, past Greektown, into the shell of Midtown. If she's not dead, she's heading here. I glance at the point he's indicating. It's an old bunker. I remember it from the rumors. An underground data storage vault built beneath a former Department of Energy satellite office, supposedly hardened against EMPs and flooding. Urban explorers used to call it Vault 19. Most never found the entrance. A few never came back. That place even real, I ask? Bishop folds the map. It's real enough for them to kill over. He stands to leave, but pauses at the threshold. You've done more than you think, keeping your mouth shut. I raise an eyebrow. That's supposed to make me feel better? He doesn't smile. No, just safer. When he's gone, I find myself looking at the shelves of bottles behind me. Half are empty, the rest are close. I remember when we used to joke about running out. Now, it feels more like a countdown. Callie returns on the 5th night. She's thinner, more pale, and walking with a limp. Her coat is torn, and there's blood dried along her sleeve. Hers, probably, though she moves like she doesn't feel it. She doesn't say anything at first, just slides into the stool and sets her satchel on the bar. It's lighter than before. I pour a shot without asking. She drinks it without flinching. They're here, I say. I know, she replies. They found the safe house. I barely got out. She reaches into the satchel and pulls out a rolled document. Not paper. Mylar, sealed edges, printed with technical schematics. She unrolls it across the bar. It's a facility layout, deep structure, multiple access points. A vault at the base labeled in faded ink, Archive Core. She taps a red X. This is where I need to go, and I can't do it alone. I look at the schematic, then at her face. You want me to come with you? No, I want you to survive it. That means knowing what's under your feet, because if I fail, they'll come here next. She leaves the schematic with me. Says she has to move before they close the net. She's meeting someone near the old Eastern Market water tower. Says it's an extraction point, if she gets there in time. And just like before, she walks out the door and vanishes into the night, leaving the air heavy with consequence. I stay behind, staring at the blueprint long after the lanterns burn low. It's not just a bunker, it's a kill switch, a place where the truth about what happened might still be intact. The schematic shows 4 descending levels, each ringed with reinforced bulkheads and long-forgotten maintenance corridors. It's the kind of structure you don't build unless you expect something to go very, very wrong. No civilian contractor designed this. It's military-grade containment, layered like a coffin inside a fortress. One way in, no way out if you trigger the wrong system. I run my hand over the brittle surface of the map. There are faint notations in red ink along the upper ventilation ducts, Dated entries, cross-referenced with something labeled GN4 Live Storage. One entry is crossed out completely, the ink smeared as if someone tried to remove it by hand. Beside it, a name has been penciled in: Aaron Kalstein. The surname means nothing at first until I remember where I saw it, on one of the memorial walls years ago. Kalstein was a virologist, CDC contractor, listed among the presumed dead after the Atlanta breach. Callie hadn't just been running from something. She was running towards someone, or what was left of them. The implications are too heavy to ignore. If Kalstein was alive when the outbreak started, and if she made it into Vault 19, then that place might still house data that could explain how this all began, or worse, how it was meant to end. I spend the rest of the night preparing, not because I plan to leave, but because I know others will. And when they do, they'll come looking for this schematic. Not the kind of people who knock, not the kind who leave you breathing if they think you've seen what you shouldn't. I wrap the blueprint in oilcloth, stash it inside the false back of an old fuse panel behind the bar, and hammer the plate shut with nails soaked in ash and grit to dull the shine. Then I destroy the rest, burn the original printout, scatter the ashes in the sump pit, and black out the power conduits that run beneath the floor. If someone wants the map, they'll have to tear this place apart brick by brick. And even then it won't matter, because by that point, I'll already know too much. They return 2 nights later. The tall man with the ceramic plates and the woman with the conductive gloves. But they don't come in the front door this time. They breach through the old delivery entrance in the alley, sending 2 concussion grenades into the stairwell before storming the bar in a blur of practiced violence. I'm already waiting with the M1 across my lap. The first one, through, catches a ricochet off the ceiling and stumbles. I put a second round in his thigh and dive behind the bar as return fire shatters the bottles above me. The woman flanks from the side hall, suppressing the room with short bursts from her suppressed carbine. She doesn't hesitate, doesn't shout commands, just moves with clean, terrifying efficiency. I roll a smoke canister from the drawer, something I bartered off a former Michigan State trooper 6 months ago, and pull the pin. It chokes the room in gray-black haze almost instantly. In the confusion, I slip through the access hatch near the back wall and crawl into the maintenance tunnel, dragging the satchel with me. I've never run from my own bar before. Not once. But this isn't retreat, this is containment. I take the long route through the utility conduits beneath Jefferson, the air thick with rust, mold, and memories. Every so often I hear movement above me, boots on asphalt, engines idling, the echo of commands I can't make out. They've brought more this time. Not a search party, a team. Callie was right. Whatever's in that vault is worth a war. The rendezvous. I find her waiting beneath the Eastern Market water tower just like she said. Her limp is worse now, and her coat is soaked through with rain. She's holding a flare but doesn't light it. "I thought you'd stay," she says as I crawl out from the storm drain. "I was going to, but they came early." She doesn't look surprised, just reaches into her bag and hands me something small, wrapped in foil, cold to the touch. It's the thumb drive, the original, the one she said held the genome key. "They'll find the vault," she says, "eventually. They always do. But this is everything we pulled from the CDC servers before it went dark. Notes, emails, synthetic strain models, Kalstein's whole archive, even her exit logs." I hold the drive like it's a live explosive. And what am I supposed to do with this? Hide it or burn it, or barter it for something that might save you? Her voice is calm. But don't give it to them, not unless you want the outbreak to get worse. I almost ask how that's possible, but I already know there's always a next phase, Every virus mutates, every system evolves. If what's on this drive includes modification templates, then someone, somewhere, might be able to use it to finish what the outbreak started. We don't light the flare, we just watch the horizon. Somewhere far off, a gunship echoes across the skyline. The sound of engines heavy with intent. They're searching now, not just for Callie, but for anyone who's touched this. She turns to me, face hard in the half-light. They'll never stop, not until everything's clean, not until the last witness is gone. She starts walking. North into the old industrial zone. I don't follow, I head west. I return to the bar a week later, or what's left of it. The stairs are scorched, the cellar half collapsed, but the shell remains. The emergency lanterns still flicker behind melted glass, and in the far corner, half covered in ash, is the ledger. Still intact. Still holding the envelope the courier left me. I burn it that night. Along with the satchel, the remaining blueprints, and the names I'd etched into the back wall. Names of the people who came through and told their stories. Not because I wanted to forget them, but because stories, like people, become liabilities when truth has weight. I keep the bar open in a way, clean out the debris, restock the shelves with what I can find. No signs, no open doors. But the right people know how to knock. I serve fewer drinks now and ask fewer questions. The regulars sense something changed, they don't ask what. Sometimes I think about Vault 19, about Kalstein, about what Callie might have found in those tunnels. Other times, I think about the survivors who come through, Mercs, smugglers, ex-soldiers, scavvers with eyes like mine, all of us carrying pieces of a world that doesn't exist anymore. But mostly, I think about the drive. Still hidden, still cold, still untouched. Because the real truth, it's not the infected that keep me awake. It's the survivors, the ones who know too much, the ones like her, the ones like me. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support keeps these creepypastas coming. Until next time, stay alert, stay safe, and never ignore the feeling that something is watching.